Shalom, brothers and sisters. So I wanted to take a moment to point out another coincidence for you that I see more and more every day cropping up in the news stories as I research them and look into what's going on in the world so that I can share with people to keep realizing where we're at on the timeline and to look up in expectancy for our salvation to come and fetch us. Now, the interesting thing for me that keeps jumping out, and we had a time in the last 2 years when we focused very much on the heart failing mankind. Their hearts will fail them, and we've seen more and more heart failures taking place in younger and younger people as we go forward. Now, we know that this is tied very much into things like the snake bite and those kind of things, but it is really interesting how it is at a time such as this that these things are happening. And now, the thing that I want to highlight for you that I find a huge coincidence is the attack on lungs. The very system we need to breathe is being attacked maliciously, violently, and with purpose all over the world. And besides the medical attacks on these things, and we see people struggling with their lungs and getting lung diseases as side effects from other things and all those things kicking in, that more and more people have issues with their lungs. We also see more and more wildfires. The California wildfires that are out of control at the moment. In South Africa, we've got fires that are out of control at the moment as well. So we're battling those fires in the Cape at the same time. And these fires burn up all sorts of materials and things, many of them toxic, that go into the air as microparticles and spread with the prevailing gale force or hurricane force winds and get inhaled by the firefighters, the civilians, the people in the neighborhoods, and taken into the lungs. That causes instant lung damage. So again, the lungs being attacked in a big way over a wide area and affecting so many people who already have compromised immune systems, thereby driving them even closer to the depopulation agenda and getting rid of people that they need to get rid of so that they can get those numbers down. And the interesting thing for me here again is we've covered this in a teaching long time ago, and many of you should know this already, that the very name of God, Yahweh, is on our lips all the time as we breathe, because there's no consonant. It is a breath, and every time we're breathing, we're saying the name Yahweh. Our lungs are an integral part of this system that speaks the name of God all the time. And isn't that interesting for me that they're focused on attacking the lungs specifically, the very breathing mechanism that constantly speaks the name Yahweh into the enemy's face all the time, everywhere in the world. So now we attack the lungs because we achieve two goals. We stop people from saying the name of God all the time, which we involuntarily are saying and calling. And we achieve our depopulation agendas for the world, and we get the numbers down. Because the numbers need to come down so that they're more controllable. And even if you read just the book of Revelation, from the beginning to the end, the numbers are plummeting all the way, beginning with the Arpazo, a large amount of people taken out, the church removed. From that moment on downwards, it plummets. Disaster after disaster, thing after thing, volcano, earthquakes, the earth, asteroids, everything that's happening, wild animals, the numbers keep going down all the way to the end, which is why the Lord says if those days were not shortened, no flesh would survive what was coming. A time such as never been and never will be again. So again, what I'm highlighting for you here and what I'm trying to point out for you here is keep an eye on when you see all these mystery diseases, disease X, quademics, all these things coming. What is the chief thing that they're attacking in the body? What is the chief area that has been hammered? The lungs. They're taking the lungs and they're hitting the lungs hard. Along with that, in close proximity, the heart's failing. That is just so interesting for me. It cannot be just a coincidence. So definitely worth keeping your eyes on. Pray for people. Many people are already sitting with compromised immune systems and health issues and sicknesses. I'll share some personal information with you now. I have for years now been living with an ILD myself, an interstitial lung disease. So one of my lungs, at that stage when all the specialists and top people in Cape Town in South Africa ran tests on me because they found it very interesting because it came from nowhere. And no, I didn't have the snake bite. My lungs were starting to crystallize, the one specifically on the one side, moving up, so eventually the whole lung would be useless. And they said it would take years with multiple tests and prodding and cutting and dissecting and calling in specialists to try and experiment and figure out what was wrong. I decided to walk away and trust the Lord. And I'm doing great. I'm in the ministry. I'm doing my thing. I know my limitations. But that's why for me, it really connects when I see how they're attacking people's lungs. Because your breath doesn't just speak the name of God all the time and keep you alive. It is directly connected to your strength and the way you can do things, and the abilities that you have as a human being are tied to how much oxygen you're able to provide to your body and your muscles as and when you need it. So keep an eye on it, watch it, and you'll see, as far as I'm concerned, this Watchman, it is a concerted effort to attack the lungs of people around the world, and the quickest way for them to do away with more of the population in the time that's left. We, however, have no fear, because our life, our very breath, is from God, and He is in control. Nothing the enemy has planned can do anything to me, because I am with God. God's will be done in my life and the lives of those around me. And that is how we should live. And while we still draw breath, we can use that breath to share the gospel of peace with all who are around us. Shalom.